Welcome everybody to the Healing Place podcast. I'm your host, Teri Wellbrock, and I say excited all the time, but like my heart is smiling, my face is smiling. I'm so happy to have Patti Clark here with me. She is author, mother, grandmother, and woman on a mission, and I love that. I love that idea. So welcome, Patti.
Thank you so much, Teri, for having me, and wonderful to get to know you. I'm so excited to actually be doing this in kind of almost person.
Yes, yes, I know.
We've been connected for so long that it just feels like such a joy to actually be connected here.
I feel the same. I feel the same. You had a beautiful sunbeam coming in as we were
I know,
talking,
I love
and
this.
oh, I still see it. There it is.
I
There it
know, I
is. If you're
know.
watching the video, it's
Feels
shining right
very
on you.
divine.
I love it. Sign from God.
Yes.
But yeah, our connection is it's just been wonderful. I narrated your audio book and on addiction and recovery road trip, and um, it's just, I felt so blessed because, as longtime listeners of the show know, I went on a journey with my mom, who was an alcoholic. She passed on my birthday in 2023, and um, but what a gift your book is. Like as I read it, as I was narrating it, like I think that's why it flowed so well, because I could connect with your main character, Meg. I just connected with so many characters and just her journey. So
Mm,
can you talk to us about what was the inspiration behind this book?
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. I'm going to thank you in front of the whole audience to know just what an amazing person Teri is. And I mean, this podcast is amazing and wonderful, but she worked so closely with me producing, narrating my book, and she's the ultimate professional. She gave voice just so beautifully. Several times when I was listening, I would just cry because it was like what I heard in my head when I was writing. So, oh, anyway,
Oh,
what was the inspiration? I won't go into big details, but it needs a little bit of a backstory. I was raised by an alcoholic mother as well. My mother died of alcoholism when I was 16, and um, I grew up with a lot of trauma. And one of the best ways that I learned to quickly deal with that trauma was drinking and numbing out that pain. And so I soon was drinking just way too much, all the way through middle school and high school. And I grew up in San Francisco in the 60s and 70s. And so there was a lot of drugs and alcohol available. And I tried to do them all. And my drinking just got me into a lot of trouble. And finally, when I was 30 years old in 1988, I got sober the first time, and I started down a 12-step journey. Excuse me. And and it was an amazing journey. And yeah, just amazing. I grew in so many ways. And I got sober because at 30, I wanted to start having kids. And my partner was very clear that the way I was drinking just wasn't working for him. And so I got sober the first time because I didn't want to be my mother. I wanted to be a good mother. I wanted to do this for my future kids, and I wanted to do it for my future husband. And so I was sober for almost 13 years. And then we moved to New Zealand. And in New Zealand, we moved to a small town. It was a very different recovery community, and I'm not blaming that or them. It was me. However, I quit going to meetings. I got disconnected, and I relapsed. And so after almost 13 years of sobriety, I went out, I relapsed. I was drinking again for almost 13 years. And then I got sober again, and I've now been sober for 14 years. Thank you. Which feels
congratulations.
wonderful.
Yes. Or
But
like,
that's a lie. That's a lie. Not 14 years. I got sober in 2014. I have been sober for 10 years. The 14 was in my head. Excuse me. Excuse me. I started adding up and I was like, that makes me too old. That makes me too old. So 10 years this time. But anyway, to answer the question about the book, let me circle back. After I relapsed and I got sober again, I wanted to find out, I'm very curious by nature, why do other women relapse? What was going on for other women? I loved sobriety. I loved it. I found this richness. I found this power. I found this divine spark, this beautiful spiritual connection. What was it that drove me out? And it was a lack of connection, I realized. But why? Why did I relapse? What was it that other women did? And so I started asking women who were in recovery why they had relapsed, and some women who never found their way back, one of whom died. I'm really sorry to say. And I just talked to these women, and I got so many amazing stories, Teri. Oh my God. And all of the stories, one way or another, are in that book. And as you know, the book is not a autobiography. It's not autobiographical. It's not nonfiction. It is a fiction narrative. It is what is called an allegorical narrative based on a lot of the things that I experienced, but also based on all of these stories. So I was weaving these stories from these other women in to the book. And you if I told you some of the stories, you would recognize them, that you've narrated, some of the things that women said to me in those meetings where women were complaining about things, or some of the things that I learned on the people that I met along the way, that those women had to learn for themselves to get to the point where they could come back. So the whole book is based on mine and this myriad of other women's stories. And to be absolutely perfectly honest, after my first book, This Way Up, I swore I would never write another book. I just said, I can't do another one. But after getting all these stories that I just was chewing on, I thought, shit, I've got to write another book.
Right. It's funny how I call them angel whispers. Like you just keep
Yes,
getting that poke on the shoulder, right? Like, hey, guess
exactly,
what? Guess
exactly.
what? Guess what you need to do? Guess what
Are
you're
you
doing
ready? Are
next?
you ready? Yeah, the nudge, and then the nudge gets harder. It's like, I don't want to, it's like I was just like kicking. I don't want to, because I knew that everything in front of me was coming. But, and then I started hearing, hearing voices. I
Yeah.
started hearing some of the voices of the characters. And like I told you, Saskia in Taos, her voice was so loud, and it was like, all right, all right, all right. I started taking dictation.
Yes. And I loved, again, I so respect you that you reached out to me and said, that's not how I hear her.
Mm.
Um, and so, and then you gave me such a wonderful explanation that I was able to then say, okay, let's see if this is what you're looking for, if this is it. And so then I redid her voice, and then it
And it was
resonated with you.
perfect.
Yeah. Yay. And
It
she
was,
was fun to do. Like she was
was
fun to
she?
do
Oh,
because
good.
as soon as you said one run-on sentence, then I was like, oh, I got it. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna I think I remembered a girl in high school like this. So I'm gonna go like
Several girls in high school like that. Yeah. And the thing about her is that the reason I was thinking this is going to be hard to communicate is that she's not bad. She's not a bad person.
right.
She's actually incredibly kind-hearted and incredibly good spirited, but she's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And that's what she was like in my head. It was like, good God, woman, shut up.
It's so true. It's so true. Yeah. No, I loved and again I loved how that character turned out on the retake.
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh, now I get it. Like now I see this." Yeah, it was that was and um I love trying to give voice to even the smaller, like maybe a character that only appeared for part of a chapter or
Mhm.
um and I tried to just I don't know, intuitively think like, I wonder what this person would sound like. I wonder what that person would be.
And I think I told you, I hope I told you that I loved that about your narrating is that you captured a voice of each person. There was a slight difference in inflection, a slight difference in pitch for each one. Like even that one where Meg was in wherever she was when she went and did yoga with the daughter. But you know, the daughter was only in the book for a few pages, but you caught it. You know, there was a youthfulness in the way she spoke, and an openness. You know, it's like that's why I sort of thought of that character as this is sort of open-hearted, naive, kind of innocent, but very kind young woman that just said, "Oh, you look like you could use some yoga," you know, when Meg was feeling like, "Oh, shut up," you know,
Right,
and
right.
yet there was that openness and that invitation that you just were able to beautifully put out there, and it
Oh,
was
thank you.
wonderful.
Well, and like you, I think, from a narrator's point of view is you've taken stories as a writer. I'm a writer as well, so I understand. Like, write what you know, right? You you
Right.
you took what you knew and turned it into this beautiful book. And so with me, with pulling in voices, giving voice to this creation, was like voicing what I know. Like, I have a daughter who's a freshman in college, and so it was like, oh, I'm around her friends. I'm around these young people so I just tried to channel and pull what I knew to put into that character.
Mhm.
So yeah.
And it was beautiful. Yeah,
Oh,
really beautiful. I so appreciated all of just those little things that showed such care, Terry. It was so present.
oh, thank you, thank you. Well, again, I feel blessed to have connected. I feel blessed to have been, a part of this and putting this out into the universe for people to tune in and listen. And I have to tell you, and I'm not going to be a spoiler, but that ending, oh my God, when I got to the end, I was like, this is so cool. That was such a great ending. Like I was even kind of sitting there like, holy shit, this is so good. Like the way you tied it
And I got
up.
to tell you, I was not expecting it when I started writing it. I wasn't expecting it at all. It just sort of wove in, and it was like, holy shit, wow. I mean, there were a few tweaks at the end that I had to do to get there, but
Yeah.
it sort of like, ta-da, I was writing. And the editor that I was working with after the fact sort of said, how did you get here? And, I was talking about what I had to do to weave in. And she just said, I love that, because it really was such a wonderful, I don't want to talk too much about it because it is a spoiler,
Right,
but
right, right.
it was such a beautiful example of the creative process of
Yes.
getting lost in that flow and trusting it, and sort of saying, okay, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just going to trust and go, and then writing and going, oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah. Like I truly thought, did she map this out? Like this is so cool. Like the way it all came together. And I just yeah, it was such a great bow on the gift of that journey because yeah, very, very cool. Um, so where do I want to go next with this? Now, do you do any like, or is your mission, or do you do recovery? Like, do you speak to people? Do you do any, do you want to be out there in the universe or out in the world talking to folks about recovery journeys?
um, I do, but not for pay. I don't. I'm not running. I used to run workshops for women around self-empowerment. And I did that for many years. I started doing it for teenagers, and then the mothers of the teenagers asked to do that. So I started doing that, and then it morphed into doing some of that with around recovery. And now I do in recovery groups, just in an open way. There's another woman who is in recovery, and we may start a series of workshops, and I'll watch the space. But at this point, basically what I want to do is I want to be here and be of service in any way that my life journey can be. So what I always say to people is, if you've read my book, or if you have questions, or if you've seen a podcast, please write to me. This weird light is getting sort of strange. Please write to me. Ask me questions. Let's talk. So I am here to be of service in any way I can, is the honest truth, Terry.
Yeah, I was just talking about that in my last call, and saying that, I don't monetize this podcast.
Mm,
And so much of I started the show coming on 8 years now. And it was a gift, like to put it out as a free resource for folks. So I
mm,
so get what you're saying, like to just offer this as a space for others to find a hand to hold, a resource, something that they can resonate with. We obviously know that addiction is a huge, huge problem
mm.
in the world. The United States has a huge addiction problem. So there's such a need for what you've put out there. And
Yeah.
again, I
And
see
more
that.
and more with I mean with all addiction, and addiction comes in so many shapes and sizes, as we know. It's not just alcohol or drugs. It is anything that you are doing to stop being in your body. So if you're feeling uncomfortable and you say, I've got to go buy new shoes, that's something we need to look at. If you're feeling empty and that you need to fill that emptiness and you're shoving food down, it's like that. Look at that. It's anything you're doing to escape that present moment in your life. And right now, the world's a mess. And there are a lot of people that are looking to escape that mess because it's a scary place right now in the world, all over
One
the world.
100%. And you're right.
Yeah.
Like I've had people come on and talk about gaming addiction. I've had them come on and talk about porn addiction,
Porn
food
addiction's
addiction,
huge.
sugar addiction. You're right. Like it's anything that escapes. When I was, and I don't know if I've talked about this on the show before, but when my boys, I have three kids, and there's a gap between the older two and my youngest, but when the boys, my oldest two, um, were in elementary school, I had not yet stepped onto my healing path. I was experiencing panic attacks, heightened anxiety, and I was drinking not to a point of addiction, but I was in a community. My husband at the time um, drank a lot, and so I was just in that environment, and I was smoking, and so I would just like sit in my den because we ran a home business at the time, and I would sit and play mindless um Minesweeper. Was that the game? And like you push little dots, and like
Mm,
it was some sort of game, and I would just sit there and smoke and drink a beer and play this mindless video games. And so my
mm,
oldest two, one of my sons, we've been on a wonderful healing journey together, and just to have the blossom this beautiful relationship, and we talk every day, and I feel so blessed. And um but he's very open, and I love it that he's open, and we talk through these things, and he
mm,
he brought it up a couple weeks ago and was like, yeah, like when you would just sit in there. And so I would be like, God, if I could go back in time and undo and be more present with my children. Not that I wasn't in my moments of not wanting to escape. When I was not in that escape mode, I was very, very present. Like I was the one teaching them to ride their bikes and taking them to the zoo, or, whatever we were doing, taking them fishing. But there is that escapism. And
mm,
in
mm.
looking back now, I realize, oh, that was my trauma. That was a trauma response. And
Yeah.
I was trying to get away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we all find a way to do that. Have you read any Gabor Mate
Yeah. Oh, yes.
of his work? Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's our response to trauma. And as human beings, we are looking for a way to get past that trauma, and we find whatever piece it is. And until we work on that trauma, we will keep doing that because we're survivors. And so we're trying to get past that. So yeah, I get it. I even after I had almost 13 years of recovery and I knew better, there was still a piece of me that was like, yeah, but maybe I don't really need it. Maybe, and all that was it was the unhealed pieces that I said, I don't need to work on this anymore. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. And I wasn't.
Right, right. Well, again, I know for myself, It is funny how our brains logically talk us into those things
Oh, I
because
know.
there's, even though I've done a tremendous amount of healing work, there's still always healing work to be done. And it's a journey, right? That's why I love your book is Recovery Road Trip. It's a journey, and
Yeah.
we're on it, and life is going to continue to throw hiccups and bumps and walls and whatever else. But when we arm ourselves with the ability to recognize and process and do that healing work, it's amazing how much better we can handle those bumps in the road.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have to. I mean, we only get this. I mean, maybe there's more that I don't know, but at this point, this is all we have. And so I want to live a life and be fully present for the life and not want to escape the life that I have. You know, I just think of how much time I wasted being wasted. You know, it's an expression, and I I don't want to have a life that I want to escape. I want to be fully present, even in the pain. I mean, there's gonna still be shit that happens. There's gonna still be pain, and I want to be present for it and be able to be whole, you know, and a healing place. I love that title. You know, I absolutely love it that we are healing. I mean, that's what we're doing almost on a daily basis. We choose happiness, we choose health, and along the way, we have to keep healing to get there because we keep encountering life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so very true. And you said something a second ago, and it so resonated with me. And I had a question for you. Oh, I liked the phrase that you had said was wasted so much time being wasted. And um, so now, did you go on a forgiveness journey at all, like with yourself to forgive yourself?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
in 12 step, there's a lot around forgiveness, a lot. And um, making amends is how it's phrased in 12 step programs. And so there's, you know, you have to go through, yeah, the list of people that you've harmed. And being absolutely brutally honest with yourself and, you know, whoever you're working with about people that you have harmed. And invariably, the person that you're working with, your sponsor, will say, I don't see you on this list. You know, and
Yes.
women that I've sponsored, I've said the same thing. Wow, yeah, I see. But where are you on here? Because that's of course where we really need to focus. We need to keep our side of the street clean. We need to pay back debts. We need to repair what we can repair and do whatever we need to do to get to that point with that amends. But then we need to really look at what we've done to ourselves and all, you know, all that time wasted and not being a good enough mother, you know, because my kids were born to a sober mother and I was sober through their breastfeeding and through their early days. And then they both got into school and I started hanging out with the other mothers that were drinking wine on their decks overlooking the ocean and thought, well, hell, I can do this. Um, yeah. Anyway, and so there was, you know, 12 years where I was drinking and I wasn't fully present for my kids. I wasn't falling down. You know, I didn't kill anybody. I didn't do anything absolutely horrific, but I was not fully present because when you're drinking, you are not fully present, you know, and so that's one of the first ones that I had to forgive me. You know, when I made amends to kids, they were like, oh, fine, you know, mom, yeah, and all that. And we had a beautiful connection and talking about that. But I know what I did. I
Yes.
know when I wasn't fully present. And you can't get that time back.
Right. Right. Wow. You made me tear up a little bit because that really resonated. It's that
Yeah.
not being fully present,
Yeah.
and but also how empowering it is to forgive yourself, because
Absolutely.
I know
Oh my God.
now I wasn't I wasn't who I am now back then. Of course, hindsight's 2020, right? Like if I knew, oh, that saying, if I only knew then what I know now, well, I didn't. And so I have to forgive that Teri.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, for me, I had no role models, none. I was making it up as I was going, and I was asking questions and doing the best I can. But as you said, I was a completely different person, completely different. And I was, yeah, really, really doing the best I could with the tools that I had. And I'm really sad that I didn't know then, right? I'm really sad that I didn't bring to the table for my kids, for the people that I was close to. I could name names, but I so wish I could have brought me to that table instead of the woman that was, anxious and uncomfortable in her skin and uh, spinning, trying to do everything right and entertain everybody and blah, 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 all
Yeah.
that shit.
I get it. I got it. I got it. But then I remind myself, to play a little devil's advocate to that, is that, oh, if my kids hadn't seen that me and now see me where I am now, like I have been a good model because you have done the hard work, you've done that healing work. And so what a gift to, I think, our children and others who are a part of our life, our loved ones, and even friends that witness us transition from who we were to who we are now. And not that it's not still a work in progress, but just watching that growth and that I just think that's a gift we offer as well. So
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to be looking at it, that the role model is in the growth from where it was to where we are, instead of shit, I blew it.
right.
Then saying, no, this growth is the role model. So thank you. I love that. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful way of looking at it.
Thank you. Well, yeah, it just kind of came to me. That was one of those angel whispers, right?
Right, right. I hear a book.
Oh yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, so your statement of being a woman on a mission, any other, like, what is that mission? Like when you say that, what do you envision?
Well, one of the pieces of the mission is I'm still writing a lot of articles, and I'm on several podcasts and things. And one of the things that I talk about, not that and I'm focusing on women because that's where I resonate, and not that all women have to give up all alcohol. That's not what I'm saying at all. However, there is so much research out there about how toxic alcohol is, and that the alcohol industry is so strong, and their marketing is so horrible in the way they market toward women and young women. And part of my mission is that, that's what I write about, and that's what I talk about. And just that, of course, go out and celebrate, God, do what you got to do, but go in with awareness and know that even a little alcohol causes cancer. Okay. Hopefully you won't have that experience, and hopefully, it won't impact you, but it can. And right now, I believe alcohol is on that. The whole idea of alcohol and health is where tobacco was in the 60s. That, the government knew, the medical society knew that tobacco caused cancer. And it was many years before we were privy to everything.
Right.
And I think of, I was born in 58. So I was a child of all of the ads. I just wrote an article recently about Virginia Slims, and there was a commercial. You've come a long way, baby, to get where you've got to today. You've got your own cigarette now, baby. You've come a long, long way. And just the allure of these so cool women in their mini skirts and their cool clothes, and they were
That's what I
smoking
smoked.
Virginia Slims. Oh no! Anyway, what a great marketing campaign.
Because I got sucked into it in the 80s,
Oh,
right?
of course, of course. And what a great marketing campaign, right? Because they're saying you're a feminist. You're smoking a feminist cigarette. You've got your own cigarette and you're cool. And you know, this is a cool cigarette. And damn them, you know, they had the studies about what cigarettes were doing to people's health. Now, fast forward to now, and you know, there was just that release by the Surgeon General saying he wants alcohol causes cancer on all bottles of alcohol. Hasn't been done yet, but that's what he wants. And with the next government coming in, who knows what's going to happen, but we won't get political. And I don't know if that's going to happen, but there has been just study after study after study how alcohol affects women's bodies. Breast cancer skyrockets with women that are drinking even a little, but drinking more. Breast cancer skyrockets more. It impacts women's health more because of the makeup of our body. So I won't go into all of it, but anybody that is listening that's interested, just scratch the surface and you will find reams of information. So you ask what I'm on a woman on a mission about, that's part of it, because I get so pissed off when people are out there wanting to make money on the backs of people that are going to be getting sick. And the marketing of alcohol, oh, you can't have fun. You can't celebrate. You can't do this unless you've got a glass of champagne or Bailey's or, you know, fill in the blank. And, you know, on social media, all of the groups, Mommy Loves Vodka, my book group drinks more than your book group. Mommy needs vodka, Mommy needs wine, all of these that are just feeding that and
glorifying. It
oh,
really, yeah.
hugely,
Yeah.
hugely. So anyway, that was a long answer to your short question, but
Oh
that's
no.
part of it.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing. And
Mm,
yes, I mean, again, my mom died from uh, liver cancer and cirrhosis of the liver because entirely too much vodka
yeah,
throughout her 87 years of life. Yeah. So alcohol does cause cancer. Yeah.
yeah, it absolutely does. My mother died of cancer, as I told you as well. And she, you know, she was, you know, my mother was a product of that 40s age of the cigarettes and the Lauren Bacall and the highballs and, you know, all that stuff. And you know, it was expected, you know,
Yeah.
but it was expected that you look good and you do that well, but you don't get sloppy and you don't do it too much and you don't, you know, so you had to fit that mold of do it right, whatever that definition
Right.
is.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I get it. I haven't drank in years. Well, it was when I got sick from mold toxicity that I just stopped for that reason. And then I was like, I mean, I had always said to myself, I don't have to drink. I can go have a good time and not need alcohol. And so when I stopped, I was like, I don't really, I have no desire to drink again. I don't really want to. So it's just
mm,
been a personal choice to not drink
mm,
because I don't necessarily, it's not like I enjoy a particular flavor of anything that I was like, oh, I really miss, blah, blah, blah. So yeah.
yeah.
And I have a great time and I really enjoy life and
You do.
alcohol is not a part of it.
Yep, yep. And that's wonderful. And you've done your healing journey, Teri.
Yes.
You know, that's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge. You aren't drinking to avoid and you're not missing those certain cocktails and things, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
So that's a huge piece as well. So
Well, I remember
mm,
standing at the foot of my mom's bed when she was 82 and she was in for her, however many dozen times of detox in the ER where she had stopped eating for 5 days and just slamming alcohol and, had vomited on herself and pooped herself and, somebody found her. And so there I was standing at the foot of the hospital bed with my sister and tears streaming down my eyes. And I finally said to her, I had at this point already stepped onto my own healing path. And so I started to understand ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, and the
mm,
impact of early trauma. And I remember saying to her, Mom, it's time for you to face whatever it is you're trying to drown with this alcohol. What happened to you?
mm,
And I was not expecting it But at 82, she unleashed it and
Wow.
set it free and started to talk about the horrors that she had endured from, at 4 years old, a neighbor sexually molesting her and burning her
Mm,
with his cigarettes, and
mm.
um, things that she had endured at the hands of her parents, on psychological as well as physical levels. And I remember just tears streaming down my face because she admitted, I have been drowning in alcohol. And
Wow.
that's when she stepped onto her healing path. Like it was soon after that. It wasn't immediate.
Wow.
But she started to realize the impact that her childhood trauma had had on her for 80 something years. Um, and she started to do that healing work. So again, I applaud you for putting this out there, your book and the work you do, because it if you're listening to this and you're 80, 90, 100, whatever, 70, whatever, it's
It's
never
never
too
too
late.
late. Never, never too late.
Yeah.
We have this life, and we need to learn what we need to learn in this lifetime. And it's never, ever too late. And I would imagine that everybody that's tuning in to your wonderful podcast is coming here for a reason. They're getting fed from your podcast and hearing what they need to hear. Honestly, people come to a podcast called The Healing Place with a presenter like you to get fed, to find that healing. And that's a wonderful message with it. It's
Thank
never too early. It's never too late.
Oh gosh, you just sucked the word right out of my head. I was going to say, and if you're 20, it's never too early. I
Exactly.
love it.
Exactly. Exactly. I see some women who are in recovery at, 19, 20, 21, and they'll say, "Oh my God, I'm going to miss this and this." And I said, "Oh, you're not going to miss this and this. You are going to just gain all of that. You can do all of the stuff, but without the booze or the drugs or the whatever, and absorb it and be more present." And yeah, it's
Yes.
never too early, never too late. And if you're on a healing journey, whew,
Yeah.
yeah, you found some people to hold your hands.
Yes. Yes. And we're here applauding you. So
Yes.
cheering you on. Well, it's just been such a joy. I just want to leave you an opportunity to maybe address anything that we didn't get a chance to, or any final closing thoughts with folks.
I could sit and talk to you for hours, Teri, and I knew that I could. Um, just that for those of you that haven't read the book, The Recovery Road Trip, it would be lovely if you have a chance to. You'll be able to hear Teri's wonderful voice narrating it. I mean, she just adds volumes to the book, and it's wonderful. And if you do read the book or listen to the audiobook, please write to me, please, and tell me your thoughts, and let's talk, because nobody works for me. I answer all my mail. I do all of it myself, and I love hearing from people.
Awesome. Well, it's just been,
Awesome.
again, just such a joy. So how do folks connect with you, and how do they find the book?
Thank you. Um, Recovery Road Trip is on Amazon, and it's also on Simon and Schuster, and in some bookstores. We never know which ones they're in. But if you have an indie bookstore near you, yeah, go buy it there if you can. Just ask for it. Simon and Schuster will get it to them. Um, and the audiobook is available through Audible, and it's Recovery Road Trip, Finding Purpose and Connection on Your Journey Home. You can also find out all the information on my website, which is patticlark.org. And I'm on all the social media sites, Patti Clark Writer. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Blue Sky and all those. So, and I love hearing from people. So I really mean it with all of my heart. Write to me, talk to me. I'd love to hear from you.
Wonderful. And that's Patty with an I, everybody. So, you know.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. Well, again, I feel blessed to know you. Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of putting your beautiful book out in the universe. And yeah, it's just been so awesome to talk to you face
Awesome.
to face. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Teri. It's been wonderful.
Awesome. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Healing Place podcast. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself. Thanks. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. Teri Wellbrock here. Just wanted to thank you again for being a part of this healing space and my hashtag Hope for Healing journey. Thank you for sharing, liking, inviting others to join, listening in. You've really helped this show blossom. It has now been downloaded in 136 countries and is in the top 2% globally out of 3.2 million shows, which is just amazing. And it's all because of you and your tuning in and inviting others and sharing and liking and loving. And your reviews on Apple really help too. My goal is to hit 100 5-star reviews by the end of the year. And I am closing in on that. So if you are listening in on Apple or Apple Podcasts, please go and rate the show and leave a review if you absolutely love it. And I would be most appreciative. Also, if you would like to receive my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter, please be sure to go to teriwellbrock.com. It's TERI, just one R, WELLBROCK.com. And I have a gift to send you for signing up for that monthly Hope for Healing newsletter. Plus, there are many other resources listed on that page, including a resource library. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.